Live, a bit late, thanks to my puppy,
That's okay. I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
Um, I'm assuming that Lizzie's feeling better. She said she was after 2 days of sleeping. Um, so hopefully you're feeling better. Maybe you can join us next week. If she pops in, that's great. But not feeling well myself, I understand. A
Yeah, I'm
little
not
bit
fully
of.
recovered either, but
I got
way
a.
better than I was Monday. But anyway,
I got stitches in my back from the football shaped swatch of skin that they took out, and I haven't been to sleep since 11 o'clock last night because it hurts like a son of a gun. Um,
yeah, ouch.
so I'm tired. But I told my son this morning, I'm like, we're gonna do a live stream. I'm not gonna bow out on that. So, but
Speaking of which, Chris is waving from Winter Wonderland. Speaking of the devil, Lady Thistle counters that she's waving from a winter hellscape.
yeah, she's probably more right than he is. Um,
Waving from the three singers.
ooh.
Charles joins us.
Hey, Charles. Big Lady Thistle. Uh,
All right, should we get to it?
yeah, man, it's Davos.
Let's do it. Storm
Okay.
25, Davos 3. His Grace would sooner see Shireen dead. Interesting choice of words there, George.
Yep.
The cell was warmer than any cell had a right to be. It was dark, yes. Flickering orange light fell through the ancient iron bars from the torch in the sconce on the wall outside, but the back half of the cell remained drenched in gloom. It was dank as well, as might be expected on an isle such as Dragonstone, where the sea was never far. And there were rats, as many as any dungeon could expect to have, and a few more besides. But Davos could not complain of chill. The smooth, stony passages beneath the great mass of Dragonstone were always warm, and Davos had often heard it said that they grew warmer the farther down one went. He was well below the castle, he judged, and the wall of his cell often felt warm to his touch when he pressed a palm against it. Perhaps the old tales were true, and Dragonstone was built with the stones of hell. He was sick when they first brought him here. The cough that had plagued him since the battle grew worse, and a fever took hold of him as well. His lips broke with blood blisters, and the warmth of the cell did not stop his shivering. I will not linger long, he remembered thinking. I will die soon here in the dark.
Hey,
Davos
the
soothed that.
warmth there kind of reminds you of the heat at Winterfell.
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that they talk about animating the this, he often talks about if the whole castle became a dragon, it'd be weird because it'd have all these stairs and things, right?
Yeah,
And then we've got the World of Ice and Fire. We've got this idea of a dragon under Winterfell powering things. So, yep,
yeah,
or the small folk claim that. Davos soon found. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that George didn't throw that in here, or that. Well, some claim that it was, from the stones of hell, but others claim that it'd be kind of interesting. I'm kind of surprised he didn't do that, but anyway,
yeah.
Davos soon found that he was wrong about that, as about so much else. Dimly, he remembered gentle hands and a firm voice, and young Maester Pylos looking down on him. He was given hot garlic broth to drink, and milk of the poppy to take away his aches and shivers. The poppy made him sleep, and while he slept, they leeched him to drain off the bad blood, or so he surmised by the leech marks on his arms when he woke. Before very long, the coughing stopped, the blisters vanished, and his broth had chunks of whitefish in it, and carrots and onions as well. And one day he realized that he felt stronger than he had since Black Bethus shattered beneath him and flung him in the river. He had two jailers to tend him. One was broad and squat, with thick shoulders and huge, strong hands. He wore a leather brigantine dotted with iron studs, and once a day brought Davos a bowl of oaten porridge. Sometimes he sweetened it with honey or poured in a bit of milk. The other jailer was older, stooped and sallow, with greasy, unwashed hair and pebbled skin. He wore a doublet of white velvet with a ring of stars worked upon the breast in golden thread. It fit him badly, being both too short and too loose, and was soiled and torn besides. He would bring Davos plates of meat and mash, or fish stew, and once even half a lamprey pie. The lamprey was so rich he could not keep it down, but even so, it was a rare treat for a prisoner in a dungeon. So, one thing that's interesting there is we kind of are potentially given sigils, and maybe we could even figure this out if we researched it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Neither sun nor moon shone in the dungeons. No windows pierced the thick stone walls. The only way to tell day from night was by his jailers. Neither man would speak to him, though he knew they were no mutes. Sometimes he heard them exchange a few brusque words as the watch was changing. They would not even tell him their names, so he gave them names of his own. The short, strong one he called Porridge, the astute, sallow one Lamprey for the pie. He marked the passage of days by the meals they brought, and by the changing of the torches in the sconce outside his cell. So, the fact that he's naming them food kind of harkens back to hot pie and squab,
Yeah.
right? And of course, people being named with food kind of implies cannibalism, which we know is in the story as well. So, anyway,
Yeah. Well,
a
I mean,
man
he's
grows.
definitely treated really good. I mean,
Yeah,
just the fact that he has fire outside his cell to light, when a lot of other cells, you don't get that flame. I mean, it's
right.
just
If he was
dark.
really going to be, if he was really accused of treason, he should be like Ned. He should be in a black cell with no light, right?
Right.
A man grows lonely in the dark and hungers for the sound of a human voice. Davos would talk to the jailers whenever they came to his cell, whether to bring him food or change his pail. He knew they would be deaf to pleas for freedom or mercy. Instead, he asked them questions, hoping perhaps one day one might answer. Mother Royne is here, late, queasy tummy, but had one of the first medical cards in my state, so I'm here. Glad to have you
Sorry,
here.
your tummy's not feeling good, but we're glad you're here.
He knew that. Oh, instead, he asked them questions, hoping perhaps one day that one might answer. What news of the war? He asked. And is the king well? He asked after his son Devon and the Princess Shireen and Salador San. What is the weather like? He asked. And have the autumn storms begun yet? Do ships still sail the narrow sea? It made no matter what he asked. They never answered, though sometimes Porridge gave him a look. For half a heartbeat, Davos would think that he was about to speak. With Lamprey, there was not even that much. I'm not a man to him, Davos thought. Only a stone that eats and shits and speaks. He decided after a while that he liked Porridge much the better. Porridge at least seemed to know he was alive, and there was a queer sort of kindness to the man. Davos suspected that he fed the rats. That was why there were so many. Once he thought he heard the jailer talking to them as if they were children, but perhaps he'd only dreamed that. They do not mean to let me die, he realized. They are keeping me alive for some purpose of their own. He did not like to think what that might be. Lord Sunglass had been confined in the cells beneath Dragonstone for a time, as had Sir Hubbard Rampton's sons. All of them had ended on the pyre. I should have given myself to the sea, Davos thought as he sat staring at the torch beyond the bars, or let the sail pass me by to perish on my rock. I would sooner feed crabs than flames. Then one night, as he was finishing his supper, Davos felt a queer flush come over him. He glanced up through the bars, and there she stood in shimmering scarlet, with a great ruby at her throat, her red eyes gleaming as bright as the torch that bathed her. Melisandre, he said, with a calm he did not feel.
As
Onion
warm
knife?
as it is down there, he could still feel the warmth that she added to the air.
Well, it almost sounds like he became warm in her presence rather than that he felt heat. The way he
Oh,
said that, right? Felt a queer flush come over him. So that sounds like it's all actually totally within him, not just like on one side of his face or something, you know.
okay.
Just a comment, you know. I mean, it's but
Yeah, that makes more sense.
your point is that there's magical heat there that's even further than the fact he's already in a warm cell, and that's absolutely the case.
Okay.
Onion Knight, she replied just as calmly as if the two of them had met on a stair in the yard and were exchanging polite greetings. Are you well? Better than I was. Do you lack for anything? My king, my son, I lack for them. Pushed the bowl aside and stood. Have you come to burn me? Heated mad. Interesting. There's actually quite a bit of. I think isn't there quite a bit of madness talk in this one too. Yeah, we'll see.
I can't remember.
Her strange red eyes studied him through the bars. This is a bad place, is it not? A dark place and foul. The good sun does not shine here, nor the bright moon. She lifted a hand toward the torch in the wall sconce. This is all that stands between you and the darkness, Onion Knight. This little fire, this gift of Verlore. Shall I put it out? No, he moved towards the bars. Please. He did not think he could bear that, to be left alone in utter blackness with no one but the rats for company. The red woman's lips curved upward in a smile. So you've come to love the fire, it would seem. I need the torch. His hands open and closed. I will not beg her. I will not. I am like this torch, Sir Davos. We are both instruments of Verlore. We were made for a single purpose, to keep the darkness at bay. Do you believe that? No. Perhaps he should have lied and told her what she wanted to hear, but Davos was too accustomed to speaking truth. You're the mother of darkness. I saw that under Storm's End. You gave birth before my eyes. Is the brave Sir Onions so frightened of a passing shadow? Take heart, then. Shadows only live when given birth by light, and the king's fires burn so low I dare not draw off any more to make another sun. It might well kill him. Melisandre moved closer. With another man, though, a man whose flames still burn hot and high? If you truly wish to serve your king's cause, come to my chamber one night. I could give you pleasure such as you've never known, and with your life fire I could make a horror. Davos retreated from her. I want no part of you, my lady, or your god. May the seven protect me. Melisandre sighed. They did not protect against her sunglass. He prayed thrice each day and bore seven pointed stars upon his shield. But when R'hllor reached out his hand, his prayers turned to screams, and he burned. Why cling to these false gods? I've worshipped them all my life. All your life, Davos Seaworth? As well say it was so yesterday. She shook her head sadly. You've never feared to speak the truth to kings. Why do you lie to yourself? Open your eyes, Sir Knight. What is it you would have me see? The way the world is made. The truth is all around you, plain to behold. The night is dark and full of terrors. The day bright and beautiful and full of hope. One is black, the other white. There is ice and there is fire. Hate and love, bitter and sweet, male and female, pain and pleasure, winter and summer, evil and good. She took a step toward him. Death and life, everywhere opposites, everywhere the war. The Reeds and Melisandre. Seriously, the Reeds just agreed ice and fire and love and hate can be the same, and here comes Mel arguing the exact opposite. The Stark heir is being taught the world is gray, while Davos is being taught the world is the stark contrast of black and white. He definitely chose to put these right next to each other, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's too. I mean, it's the fact that she specifically chooses love and hate and ice and fire. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
The war, Davos asked Davos. The war, she affirmed. There are two on your night, not seven, not one, not 100 or 1,000. Two. Do you think I crossed half the world to put yet another vain king on yet another empty throne? The war has been waged since time began, and before it is done, all men must choose where they will stand. On one side is R'hllor, the Lord of Light, the Heart of Fire, the God of Flame and Shadow. Against him stands the great Other, whose name may not be spoken, the Lord of Darkness, the Soul of Ice, the God of Night and Terror. Ours is not a choice between Baratheon and Lannister, between Greyjoy and Stark. It is death we choose, or life, darkness or light. She clasped the bars of his cell with her slender white hands, the great ruby at her throat seemed to pulse with its own radiance. So tell me, Sir Davos Seaworth, and tell me truly, does your heart burn with the shining light of R'hllor, or is it black and cold and full of worms? She reached through the bars and laid 3 fingers upon his breast, as if to feel the truth of him through flesh and wool and leather. My heart, Davos said slowly, is full of doubts. Melisandre sighed. Ah, Davos, the good knight is honest to the last, even in his day of darkness. It is well you did not lie to me. I would have known. The other servants oft hide black hearts in gaudy light, so R'hllor gives his priests the power to see through falsehoods. So do we think that Thoros can do that? Anyway.
It's possible.
She stepped lightly away from the cell. Why did you mean to kill me? I will tell you, said Davos, if you will tell me who betrayed me. It could only have been Saul or San, yet even now he prayed it was not so. The Red Woman laughed. No one betrayed you, Onion Knight. I saw your purpose in my flames. This is I'm playing catch up, so this might seem random, but it has been 0 days since we talked about cannibalism. Also, you guys sound great at 2x speed. Well, glad you can catch up.
I actually want to hear us at 2 times speed now.
The flames. If you can see the future in these flames, how is it that we burned upon the Blackwater? You gave my sons to the fire, my sons, my ship, my men, all burning. Melisandre shook her head. You wrong me, Onion Knight. Those were no fires of mine. Had I been with you, your battle would have had a different ending. His grace was surrounded by unbelievers, and his pride proved stronger than his faith. His punishment was grievous, but he has learned from his mistake.
I still say he let that happen, so he would. Yeah.
I think that's kind of true. Were my sons no more than a lesson for a king then? Davos felt his mouth tightened. Honestly, secondary characters in a story typically exist for their interactions with primary characters, but authors don't normally highlight this fact. It is night in your 7 kingdoms now, the Red Woman went on, with But soon the sun will rise again. The war continues, Davos Seaworth, and some will soon learn that even an ember in the ashes can still ignite a great blaze. The old maester looked at Stannis and saw only a man. You see a king. You're
Oh,
both wrong.
before you go on, uh, and some will soon learn that even an amber in the ashes can still ignite in a great blaze. Like the ashes that Sam throws into Small Paul's mouth.
Hmm. Absolutely.
No, sorry.
No, that's true. You see a king. You're both wrong. He is the Lord's chosen, the warrior of fire. I've seen him leading the fight against the dark. I've seen it in the flames. The flames do not lie, else you would not be here. It is written in prophecy as well. When the red star bleeds and the darkness gathers, Azor Ahai shall be born again amidst smoke and salt to wake dragons out of stone. The bleeding star is come and gone, and Dragonstone is the place of smoke and salt. Stannis Baratheon is Azor Ahai reborn. Her red eyes blazed with twin fires, seemed to stare deep into his soul. You do not believe me. You doubt the truth of Valor even now, yet have served him all the same, and will serve him again. I shall leave you here to think on all that I have told you, and because Valor is the source of all good, I shall leave the torch as well. The smile and swirl of scarlet skirts, she was gone. Only her scent lingered after. That kind of reminds me of
Um,
Qyburn.
yep.
That and the torch. Davos lowered himself to the floor of the cell and wrapped his arms around about his knees. The shifting torchlight washed over him. Once Melisandre's footsteps faded away, the only sound was the scrabbling of rats. Ice and fire, he thought, black and white, dark and light. Davos could not deny the power of her god. He'd seen the shadow crawling from Melisandre's womb, and the priestess knew things she had no way of knowing. She saw my purpose in her flames. It was good to learn that Sala had not sold him. But the thought of the Red Woman spying out his secrets with her fires disquieted him more than he could say. What did she mean when she said that I had served her god and would serve him again? He did not like that either. I mean, we know that he carried her over there to give birth. I mean, anyway.
Um, could it have been that she meant for him to tell Stannis don't bring the Red Woman because she wanted to burn in Stannis's soul the fact that he needs her more than anything?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I mean, I think in her view, everything people do is in service to R'hllor. But anyway, that's all part of God's plan, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of course, we think it may be all part of the old God's plan or through Brantham leaping. But anyway,
This is true.
he lifted his eyes to stare up at the torch. He looked for a long time, never blinking, watching the flames shift and shimmer. He tried to see beyond them, to peer through the fiery curtain and glimpse whatever lived back there. But there was nothing, only fire, and after a time his eyes began to water. God blind and tired, Davos curled up on the straw and gave himself to sleep. 3 days later, well, Porridge had come thrice and Lamprey twice. Davos heard voices outside his cell. He sat up at once, his back to the stone wall, listening to the sounds of struggle. This was new, a change in his unchanging world. The noise was coming from the left, where the steps led up to daylight. He could hear a man's voice pleading and shouting, "Madness! What madness is this?" Anyway, yeah, there is a bunch of talk of madness in here.
Yeah.
The man was saying as he came into view, dragged along between two guardsmen with fiery hearts on their breasts. Porridge went before them, jangling a ring of keys, and Sir Axel Florent walked behind. "Axel," the prisoner said desperately, "for the love you bear me, unhand me. You cannot do this. I'm no traitor." He was an older man, tall and slender, with silvery gray hair, pointed beard, and a long, elegant face twisted in fear. "Where is Selyse? Where's the queen? I demand to see her. The others take you all. Release me." Krista says too. The guards paid no mind to his outcries. "Here?" Porridge asked in front of the cell. Davos got to his feet. For an instant he considered trying to rush them when the door was opened, but that was madness. There were too many. The guards wore swords, and Porridge was strong as a bull. Well, we've seen this before, where people have this inclination to do something and then to decide it's madness, and we've speculated that it could be an attempted intervention that went against so far against what the people would think of that they refused, or possibly it's like a chess move that's been made and unmade as somebody realized it didn't work.
Right.
The guards paid no mind to his outcries. Oh, we already did that part. Sir Axel gave the jailer a curt nod. Let the traitors enjoy each other's company. I'm no traitor, screeched the prisoner as Porge was unlocking the door. He was plainly dressed in gray wool doublet and black breeches. His speech marked him as highborn. His birth will not serve him here, thought Davos. Whew, I'm caught up, and now it sounds like you're in slow motion. It's supposed to be whoa. All right. Porge swung the bars wide. Sir Axel gave a nod, and the guards flung their charge in headlong. The man stumbled and might have fallen, but Davos caught him. At once he wrenched away and staggered back toward the door, only to have it slammed in his pale, pampered face. No, he shouted, no! All the strength suddenly left his legs, and he slid slowly to the floor, clutching at the iron bars. Sir Axel, Porge, and the guards had already turned to leave. You cannot do this, the prisoner shouted at the retreating backs. I am the king's hand. It was then that Davos knew him. You are Alistair Florent. The man turned his head. Who? Sir Davos Seaworth. Lord Alistair blinked. Seaworth, the Onion Knight. You tried to murder Melisandre. Davos did not deny it. At Storm's End, you wore red gold armor with inlaid lapis flowers on your breastplate. He reached down a hand to help the other man to his feet. Lord Alistair brushed the filthy straw from his clothing. I must apologize for my appearance, sir. My chests were lost when the Lannisters overran our camp. I escaped with no more than the mail on my back and the rings on my fingers. He still wears those rings, noted Davos, who had lacked even all of his fingers. No doubt some cook's boy or groom is prancing around King's Landing just now in my slashed velvet doublet and jeweled cloak, Lord Alistair went on, oblivious. But war has its horrors, as all men know. No doubt you suffered your own losses. My ship, said Davos, all my men, 4 of my sons. May the Lord of Light lead them through the darkness to a better world, the other man said. May the Father judge them justly and the Mother grant them mercy, Davos thought, but he kept his prayer to himself. The Seven had no place in Dragonstone now. Alistair was almost certainly going to say something like what Davos thinks before correcting himself to honor Red Verlou.
Yeah, without a doubt.
My own son is safe at Brightwater, Lord went on, but I lost a nephew on the Fury, Sir Imry, my brother Ryam's son. It had been Sir Imry Florent who led them blindly up the Blackwater Rush with all oars pulling, paying no heed to the small stone towers at the mouth of the river. Davos was not like to forget him. My son Merrick was your nephew's oarmaster. He remembered his last sight of Fury, engulfed in wildfire. Has there been any word of survivors? The Fury burned and sank with all hands, his lordship said. Your son and my nephew were lost with countless other good men. The war itself was lost that day, sir. This man is defeated. Davos remembered Melisandre's talk of embers and the ashes igniting great blazes. Small wonder he ended here. His grace will never yield, my lord. Folly, that's folly. Lord Alistair sat on the floor again as if the effort of standing for a moment had been too much for him. Stannis Baratheon will never sit the Iron Throne. Is it treason to say the truth? A bitter truth, but no less true for that. His fleet is gone, save for the Lyseni, and Solid or Sod will flee at the first sight of a Lannister sail. Most of the lords who supported Stannis have gone over to Joffrey or died. Even the lords of the Narrow Sea, the lords sworn to Dragonstone? Lord Alistair waved his hand feebly. Lord Celtigar was captured and bent the knee. Montford Valerian died with his ship. The Red Woman burned Sunglass, and Lord Bar Emmon is 15, fat and feeble. Those are your lords of the Narrow Sea. Only the strength of House Florent is left to Stannis against all the might of Highgarden, Sunspear, and Casterly Rock, and now most of the Storm Lords as well. The best hope that remains is to try and salvage something with a peace. That is all I meant to do. Gods be good, how can they call it treason? Davos stood frowning. My lord, what did you do? Not treason, never treason. I love his grace as much as any man. My own niece is his queen, and I remained loyal to him when wiser men fled. I'm his hand, the hand of the king. How can I be a traitor? I only meant to save our lives and honor, yes. He licked his lips. I penned a letter. Salter San swore that he had a man who could get it to King's Landing, to Lord Tywin. His lordship is a man of reason, and my terms, the terms were fair, more than fair. What terms were these, my lord? It's filthy here, Lord Alistair said suddenly. And that odor, what is that odor? The pale, said Davos, gesturing. We have no privy here. What terms? His lordship stared at the pale in horror. That Lord Stannis give up his claim to the Iron Throne and retract all he said of Joffrey's bastardy, on the condition that he be accepted back into the king's peace and confirmed as Lord of Dragonstone and Storm's End. I vowed to do the same for the return of Brightwater Keep and all our lands. I thought Lord Tywin would see the sense of my proposal. He still has the Starks to deal with, and the Iron Men as well. I offered to seal the bargain by wedding Shireen to Joffrey's brother Tommen. He shook his head. The terms, they're as good as we're ever like to get. Even you can see that, surely. So, a few things in here. First off, I think it's interesting that he's trying to get Brightwater keeping all his lands back.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
No. They're already
There's no
handed
way.
out,
There's
aren't
no
they?
way the Tyrells are going along with that.
No.
They can have High Garden on their side, or they cannot have High Garden on their side, and that's not going to happen.
No.
The difference between cloaking yourself in material riches and cloaking yourself in the riches of love and compassion. Yeah, in terms of their losses, absolutely.
Yeah.
So later in this book, Oberyn will use near identical language about marriage to Tyrion being an insult. And Oberyn had been discussing whether an age difference was great enough to be an insult just before he talks about that, but Tyrion takes it as an insult about his dwarfism, which is not in the context what he's probably trying to say.
Right.
Although you can understand how Tyrion thinks everybody thinks that way.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yes, said Davos. Even me. Unless Stannis should father a son, such a marriage would mean that Dragonstone's Storm's End would one day pass to Tommen, which would doubtless please Lord Tywin. Meanwhile, the Lannisters would have Shireen as hostage to make certain Stannis raised no new rebellions. And what did his grace say when you proposed these terms to him? He's always with the Red Woman, and he's not in his right mind, I fear. This talk of a stone dragon? Madness, I tell you, sheer madness! Did we learn nothing from Arryn Brightfire? From the Nine Mages? From the Alchemists? Did we learn nothing from Summerhall? No good has ever come from these dreams of dragons. I told Axel as much. My way was better, sure. And Stannis gave me his seal. He gave me leave to rule. The hand speaks with the king's voice. Not in this. Davos was no courtier, but he did not even try to blunt his words. It is not in Stannis to yield, so long as he knows his claim is just. No more than he can unsay his words against Joffrey when he believes them true. As for the marriage, Tommen was born of the same incest as Joffrey, and his grace would sooner see Shireen dead than wed to such. Phrasing! Seriously, Interesting word choice. A vein throbbed
I'm
on Florence'
surprised
forehead.
George didn't say he would sooner see Shireen burn.
Yeah, he didn't go quite that far. I mean, they're going to talk later about how it's the sacrifice is determined based upon how much it hurts you, and Stannis clearly doesn't love his wife. So if he's going to actually make a great sacrifice, and he doesn't really have that much of care for Edric either, right? If he's really going to make a sacrifice that really means something to him, it's going to be Shireen.
Right.
And no, I don't think this is going to be about Melisandre doing this without him present. I think it has to be him, choosing to see Shireen dead. Anyway,
yeah, that's the only way it is a true sacrifice.
Yep. A vein throbbed in Florence's forehead. He has no choice. You're wrong, my lord. He can choose to die a king, and us with him. Is that what you desire, Onion Knight? No, but I'm the king's man, and I will make no peace without his leave. Lord Alistair stared at him helplessly for a long moment, then began to weep. Up next, Storm 26, John 3. Going down south. I won't yada 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 the good part this time.
Not a problem. It's a short chapter.
Yeah, we're through this pretty quickly, and we did stop a few times to talk about some things. So. But yeah,
I'm kind of happy about that, though. I'm tired and my back hurts. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I do think that people have been saying that with all this talk of Stannis and sacrifice, and with these all the hints of Shireen dying, that people had figured out that was going to happen before Dan and Dave said that this is one of the things that George told them that kind of freaked them out, right?
Right.
So anyway, yeah.
Well, it seems like Dan and Dave kind of threw George under the bus for the things that people did not like about the later seasons. They're like, oh, no. George just told us. Don't get mad at us.
Yeah. I mean, he does. They do take a lot of heat for Sansa, but as we talked about the minor character thing, right? Jane Poole largely exists for Theon's redemption. And, is it really any different than, obviously we love Sansa more than we love Jane, but
yeah,
You know, she
Still,
certainly doesn't deserve what's done to her.
yes, it's still just as horrible. It doesn't matter which character it is.
Exactly. Exactly. But of course, I do like the concept of trying to make the redemption be so similar to his actual crime, right? His crime was to take commoners, pretend they were Starks, and then kill them as Starks. And so here he's taking a commoner, pretending to be a Stark, and saving her, right?
Yeah.
So I do like the parallel of his redemption arc trying to be, the opposite coin of what he did, but.
There we go
Oops,
again.
you're vanishing again. You're going back. You're switching again.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man.
All right.
Maybe
Well,
the
let's wrap
phone
it up, I
didn't
guess.
sleep
Yeah.
either.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
I certainly I've often struggled with insomnia. And last night wasn't all that great for me either. So,
Yeah, I'm
all
sorry.
right. No, that's all right. I mean,
It's short and sweet today, guys. I do apologize. The spot on my back is it's I tell myself and I tell everybody I have a pretty high threshold for pain. I can watch any needle go in and out of me without even so much as flinching. And this isn't severe, but it's nonstop. And then every movement will be a flare. And then I mean this. No. All right. Well, Monday's John. It's the weekend coming. Please stay safe. Please have fun. Lizzie out there, and also Mother Warnar. I hope y'all get feeling better, and we appreciate y'all very much, Lady Thistle. I believe you. It will be a winter hellscape, without a doubt. And y'all take care. I do apologize for the short video today, but y'all have a good one. Bye. All right, Rich.